Hello, everyone. Hopefully, all is well. This week, we're going to go ahead and review the distance formula and the midpoint formula. You may want to stop your video if you don't have your notebook with these particular formulas already written down in your notes. So, what we're going to be looking at today is line segments, and we want to find the distance of those line segments, or we want to find what the midpoint is for those line segments. This is going to be a very short video. I only have two examples. It's going to be very straightforward and simple. So if you have any questions over this, you can always email me. But let's go ahead and begin with the first example. So this first example is going to be asking us to find the midpoint of our line segment. So here I labeled the points already for you, but that's not going to be the case in the quiz. You're going to have to make sure that you can determine what the points are. So here, this says this is the point of 4, 1. So that means my x value is 4. So if you go from the origin, that means we just went to the right 4 units. So 1, 2, 3, 4, we're here. But this is a -1. So that means we're going down 1 unit. So this is the point of 4, -1. And then the other endpoint for this line segment is going to be 5, -5. You can see we were already at 4 here. We went 1 unit over, so we know the new x value is 5. And then we're going to go down. If you look here, think about, so you know this is the origin. And so if you just, each one of these tick marks is going to be 1 unit. So this is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And since we're going down, that's going to be a -5. So these are our 2 points, and we want to find what is the midpoint. So that's going to be somewhere in the middle, right? All right, so let's go ahead and do that. We know from our formula that we have to take the sum of our two x values and divide that by 2 to get the new x value. And to get the new y value, we're going to take the sum of the two y values and divide that by 2. So I've already did the work. My two x values are 4 and 5, so I take 4 plus 5, and I'm going to divide that by 2. My two y values are -1 and -5, so I have my -5 plus -1 and divide by 2. Now we just need to simplify. 4 plus 4 is going to be 9, so we have 9 divided by 2. And -5 plus a -1 is going to be a -6. So -6 divided by 2 is going to give us -3. And so if you have half of 9, that's just 4.5. So the midpoint of this line segment is 4.5 for my x value and -3 for my y value. And as I stated, this is pretty straightforward. But again, if you have any questions, make sure you do send me an email me and ask those questions. All right, guys, that's our first example, and we have one last example, and that example is going to be over finding the distance formula. So here we're going to be finding the distance of this particular line segment, and here we have the point -3, 4. I'm just going to go ahead and find the distance up here, just in case you forget when you go back to look at this example, because I didn't have it written down. I apologize. All right, so we're going to find the distance of this line segment. And so when we find the distance of any line segment, we're going to need to use 2 points in order to do that, the 2 endpoints. And so here we see that this endpoint is -3, 4. So again, we went from the origin on the x-axis, 1, 2, 3. Since we're going in the left direction, we know that's a -3. And if you look here, we're going from 0, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's why we get -3, 4. And then this point over here, let's just verify that it is 4, 2. Start at the x-axis at the origin, go to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, so that is 4, and then start at the origin and then go up to the y, so that's 1, 2, so that is 4, comma 2. And now we want to find the distance. So remember, with the distance formula, it's just a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that formula back up. This time, instead of adding your x values, you're going to take the difference of your x values and square it. Or you can take and then you're going to take the difference of your y value and square that. And then you're going to take the sum of those. And so let's go ahead and look at this here. My x value is 3, negative 3, and positive 4. But remember, I'm taking the difference. So that's going to be negative 3 minus 4. And then I'm going to square that. But then my y value is going to be 4 and 2. So I'm going to take the difference. So that's 4 minus 2 and square that. So now we have a negative minus 4. So that gives us a negative 7 squared. And 4 minus 2, that's just going to give us 2 squared. Now remember, when we square a negative number, it's going to be positive. So that's just a negative 7 times a negative 7. So a negative times a negative is a positive. So that gives us a positive 49. And 2 times 2 is going to give us 4. So we add those together. That's going to give us 53. So the distance of this line segment is going to be the square root of 53. So this is our answer, and we are done. So hopefully the video was pretty straightforward, and it has given you all the tools that you need to be successful on this week's quiz. But again, if you have any questions, just let me know. I'll be happy to walk you through them. You guys have a great week, and until next time.